Hello and welcome. I'm Brandon Torres.
And I'm Michelle Morales, and this is the Pacific Coast News for the County of San Mateo.
It's Wednesday, October 16th, and this is the news for the week. Well, our federal representatives haven't reached an agreement that will reopen the federal government yet. Fortunately, most of us on the coast aren't being affected. Before leaving, Pacifica's interim city manager, Michael Garvey, Ross Guerin, Community Outreach Coordinator for Half Moon Bay, and the Office of Mark Church, Federal Elections Officer and Assessor, and Supervisor Don Harsley have all confirmed that the coastal cities aren't being affected by the federal shutdown, at least for now. However, Supervisor Harsley told Pacific Coast News that he thought it would last until the 11th hour or until tomorrow, October 17th. That's when the federal government will hit the debt ceiling, and if legislation isn't passed to pay those bills, it's possible the U.S. could default. I hope the Republicans don't make us default. It would be disastrous for the nation, said Supervisor Harsley. He also went on to say that although the county isn't being affected right now, it could be. We have enough in the reserves to get through November, but after that, we will run out of money. The programs that would fill the effects immediately are CalFresh, the food stamp program, as well as Housing Urban Development Program. Supervisor Harsley said that if the government shutdown continued, the county would be forced to consider continuing these expensive federally funded programs. One option would be dipping into the county reserves, but it would only be a temporary fix, not one that could be sustained long term.
A truck at first thought to belong to CalTran slid and tumbled down the side of the hill above Shamrock Farm, just north of the tunnel, a few minutes before 3 p.m. on October 10th. The driver was standing on top of the truck while hydroseeding when the truck started to slide down the hill. Fortunately, he was able to jump off the truck and only suffered minor injuries. The rescue operation was a joint effort between local agencies. CAL FIRE of Montera, both Pacifica's police and fire departments, San Mateo County Sheriff, and the California Highway Patrol all responded to the call. Here you can see the combined efforts of the departments pulling the driver up the hill. The driver was transported to San Francisco General with non-life-threatening injuries. CalTrans confirmed that the truck belonged to one of their contractors. The California Highway Patrol was the agency that ultimately investigated the mishap and determined the accident occurred due in part of how the truck was parked and the steep terrain of the mountain. The truck was removed the following afternoon, which briefly closed Highway 1.
And moving on to this week's Coastal Crime Report, on October 11th, vandalism was reported at Ortega School around 2 p.m. The damage was a broken window with estimated damages of $400. Later that day, a resident reported a window was smashed on the VW Beetle and a purse was stolen on Carmel Avenue. Then later in the evening, two men were seen fighting on Highway 1 and Lindemar Boulevard. The incident was a result of road rage. On October 10th, the Pacifica Police Department assisted the San Francisco Police Department by cornering a fraud and theft suspect that was traced to a hotel in Rockaway that morning. A few minutes later, a car hit a cyclist at the intersection of Vistamar Avenue and Manor Drive. The cyclist was transported to San Francisco General Hospital to be treated for head trauma. The intersection was closed for an hour and a half while the Pacifica PD investigated. Lastly, on October 13th, a resident was reported taking video of 5 or 6 flying formations. The resident said they flew around and then returned. Police viewed the video, but the quality was too grainy to determine whether it was a UFO or not.
While signs mainly against Measure V are beginning to pop up around town, residents are also receiving colorful flyers in our mailboxes explaining why we should vote for it. Todd Schlesinger went to Monday's Pacifica City Council meeting to blast them for using taxpayer money for the flyers.
Anybody seen this before? Anybody seen this before? This was paid for by the city, which means the taxpayers pay for this. Yes, it says the city paid for this. That means taxpayers. Do you know that this was contracted for in June and that the vote to put the Measure V on the ballot wasn't until July 8th. Now, I checked with the Fair Political Practices Commission, and that's not illegal. But I guarantee you that's fast and loose.
Measure V is Pacifica's initiative to extend Pacifica's utility tax to include cell phone bills. The current utility tax only covers gas and electricity at a rate of 6.5%. If passed, cell phone bills would also be taxed at the same rate. The extra funds could generate up to $1 million annually. Many current and former city officials are in support of the measure, while some business owners and Pacificans against higher utility taxes are against the measure. Supervisor Don Horsley also told Pacific Coast News that he supports the measure. Mayor Len Stone told Pacific Coast News that after the city pays all its bills, there would be a $200,000 deficit. On Saturday, October 19th, and what's being called the Great Pacifica Debate of 2013 will take place in the rear banquet room of Sharp Park Golf Course Restaurant. It's being held during the monthly breakfast meeting at the Pacifica Daly City Democrats Club. Yes on V debaters are Kalima Salahuddin, Measure V campaign manager, and Karen Irvin, Pacifica City Council member. No on V debaters are local Pacifica residents and members of the Committee Against Higher Utility Taxes, Mark Steckbart and Jim Wagner. The moderator will be Barbara Arrieta, president of the Pacifica Daly City Democrats Club. The county has already mailed out sample ballots and voter information. Residents have until October 21st to register to vote for the November 5th election. Registered voters have until October 29th to request a vote by mail ballot. For more election information on the web, go to shapethefuture.org. Again, that is shapethefuture.org.
The county has posted bacteria warning signs at the San Pedro and Palacitos creeks since they tested positive for high concentrations of indicator bacteria. These signs are posted to alert the public that there are risk of illness associated with swimming in contaminated waters and are an advisory rather than a quarantine or beach closure. The indicator bacteria include total coliform, E. coli, and enterococcus. In addition, there is a posted bacteria warning sign at the Outer Harbor Beach. Persons using recreational water posted by health officials do so at their own risk. San Mateo County routinely tests 43 sites each week, including ocean beaches, creek mouths, and bay lagoon beaches. When higher indicator bacteria levels are found, the site is posted with a warning sign and is retested to confirm the results. When swimming at ocean beaches with creeks that cross the beach, the county recommends to avoid recreational activity in the creeks, as well as in the ocean water in the immediate area of the creek. While the creek water may look calmer and safer to play in, it typically has higher bacteria counts than the ocean water. The county also suggests that to avoid going in the water during rainstorms. Swimming in the areas close to urban streams and storm drain outlets should be avoided during and for up to 3 days after the end of a rainfall due to the increased levels of bacteria caused by rainfall runoff. In spite of the heavy recreational water use in San Mateo County, there have been very few reports of illnesses linked to water contact. If you are interested in volunteering to assist in the collection of samples from your favorite beaches, please contact Greg Smith with County Environmental Health by calling at 372-6200. Again, that number is 372-6200. County staff will provide training and needed equipment and supplies for the sampling. Sites are sampled every Monday morning by a combination of county staff and volunteers, primarily associated with the local chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. Volunteers drop samples at convenient locations in either Half Moon Bay or Pacifica for transport by county staff to the Public Health Laboratory for analysis.
Council members Sue DeGree and Mike O'Neill and former Economic Committee member Matt Casillas were among the many residents that attended the community forum on the proposed Highway 1 widening on October 9th at Valley Mar School. The multi-purpose room was filled with almost 100 concerned residents who came out to learn why there were lawsuits against the city of Pacifica for this project. Shortly you'll hear a brief explanation from the meeting about the lawsuits.
The one lawsuit is about the fact that this proposed project is in direct conflict with the existing general plan. There's another lawsuit that's been filed by Pacificans for a scenic coast that includes a number of people that suing CalTrans and saying that their final EIR is inadequate. And some of what the link I wanted to make is that some of what Hal was just talking about is why we're saying it's inadequate. A final EIR has to give an accurate project description so that you can make intelligent decisions about it. And it's supposed to have a detailed map with the precise location and boundaries of the proposed project and so on, and referencing figures which it says are purely conceptual and not to be used as official record. In their own final EIR, they're saying this is not a final EIR.
Other speakers at the forum were Hal Boner, attorney for Pacificans for Highway 1 Alternatives, and former Pacifica Planning Commissioner Leo Leon. Also discussed during the meeting were alternative ways to reduce traffic, such as different starting times for Pacifica schools. The meeting was sponsored by Pacificans for Highway 1 Alternatives and Pacificans for a Scenic Coast. These organizations will be hosting another forum at Sharp Park Library on Monday, October 21st at 7 p.m. In addition, both these organizations are in need of donations to fund lawsuits. If you'd like to learn more about Pacificans for Highway 1 Alternatives, you can go to their website at ph1a-pacifica.weebly.com. Again, that's ph1a-pacifica.weebly.com.
State Senator Jerry Hill wasn't able to attend this year's party at the Pier, but put on by the Preserve Our Pier supporters. But he sent a representative with a certificate of recognition for Ann Both, president of the organization, as shown here. Councilman Sue Degree was also present.
Okay, keep going.
Again, that was Councilman Sue Degree showing her support for the organization known better as POPs. It was their 12th annual event, and this is local musician Ian Butler performing during the first set of the evening. The party was to celebrate $1.5 million worth of work that was completed on the lower deck and 2 pylons, as well as helping to restore the building that is now the Chit Chat Cafe. They are also celebrating upcoming repairs to the top of the deck, lights and rails. It was a very successful day for Pops, who had just one shirt left in the middle of their 2-hour events. Fred McCarthy wrapped it up by playing the second set. Reserve Our Pier supporters are always looking for additional members. For more information, you can visit them online at www.pacificapierpops.org.
Well, if you haven't heard yet, the top 3 pumpkin growers were all from Napa. Not only did Gary Miller have the biggest pumpkin, but he had the biggest pumpkin that was ever weighed at the 40th Annual Safeway World Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off in Half Moon Bay on Monday. His gargantuan pumpkin came in at 1,985 pounds, and this was his very first time entering the Half Moon Bay contest. While his friend and competitor Tim Matheson came in at second with one weighing at 1,894 pounds. Even though Matheson just set the world record with a 2,023 pounder at the 23rd Annual Giant Pumpkin Weigh-In off in Morgan Hill over the weekend. Leonard Urena came in at third with his pumpkin weighing in at 1,592 pounds. Urena won second place in last year's Half Moon Bay Weigh-Off. Miller earned $6 per pound, making the total of his earnings coming to $11,910. Matheson earned $2,000 for his second place, and Urena cleared $1,500 for his. Another notable win, our biggest from the coast side, which was won by Ida Mueller, who received $500 for her 1,104-pound pumpkin, while Councilmember John Mueller, better known as Farmer John, earned $250 for his 1,064-pounder. And here's when the most beautiful pumpkin that was grown by Vince Zuno in Los Altos when it's tied.
Okay, it is definitely a clear winner. Forklift number 1, please lift up your pumpkin, Bert Silva. Pumpkin guard, Vince Zuno, you are the winner of the most beautiful pumpkin. Congratulations, Vince.
Most of you may know that not only will all the winners from the Safeway World Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off be on display at Half Moon Bay's 43rd Annual Art and Pumpkin Festival, but the Weigh-Off is the official kickoff of the festival that will be held on October 19th and Sunday, October 20th, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. There are a variety of events scheduled, such as the Great Pumpkin Parade that will take place at noon on Saturday. 6-time Gold Glove winner and San Francisco Giants J.T. Snow will be Grand Marshal. Pie eating contest, one for the children and one for the adults, will be held both days, not to mention the variety of booths and vendors that will be there. There will also be 3 stages for a variety of music, including a Smashing Pumpkins Battle of the Bands. Some of the musical acts will be performing are the California Cowboys, Big Cat Toll-Free, the Robin Campbell Band, the Stan Ehart Band, and Pamela Rose are some of the acts that will perform at the main stage at the IDES grounds. Well, Wendy DeWitt, the South City Blues Band, and the Rocking Down the Highway will play at the Ritz-Carlton South Stage at the Gazebo. Pacifica Coast Television will also have a booth there. In addition, the crew will be out filming the festival and talking with people about it. You can look for Brandon and I out there on Saturday afternoon if you're still like to see the Pumpkin Fest without leaving your home. Tune in to PCT. It will be broadcast all weekend long. In local sports this week, Terra Nova High varsity football team extended their winning streak to 6-0 with a win over Sequoia High at this year's homecoming game. Terra Nova led 19-3 at the half, but found their lead cut to 2 by the end of the third quarter with a pair of Sequoia Cherokee touchdowns. In this clip, shot exclusively by Pac Coast News, we see running back John Wallace, number 4, score the final touchdown with a 1-yard run to put the Tigers ahead for good with a final score of 26-17. Their closest game this year so far. Their next opponent will be South City High with a record of 2-3. Their last game being a loss to Menlo Atherton High, 31-19. In other football news, Terra Nova High's junior varsity team won their first game of the season with a score of 28-0. Over in Half Moon Bay, things couldn't get much worse with another loss for this time to Woodside High, another 1-4 team. Their next game will be against San Mateo High. Well, that's all the time we have for sports this week. Join us next week for all your sports news.
Before leaving, everyone here at PCT and Pacific Coast News would like to extend a congratulations to the Pacifica Beach, or Lynn Adams at Pacifica Beach Coalition for winning KTVU's Cox Conserve Heroes Award. Adams earned $10,000 for the coalition and all her hard work. And that's the news on the coast for this week. We're always interested in receiving news, tips, suggestions, or videos, and donations. Please email us at pac_coast_news@yahoo.com. Again, the email is paccoastnews@yahoo.com. Please join us again next week for another broadcast of the Pacific Coast News. We'll leave you with a video of Jim Stevens performing at the Safeway Pumpkin Weigh-In.
Song about pumpkins. Tell me a tale about Half Moon Bay. Coastside traditions are coming together, midway between San Francisco and San Jose. Sing if you care about pumpkins. Sing if you're living in Half Moon Bay. You are the luckiest folks on the planet, somewhere between San Francisco and San Jose.